how emotional is music to you?
Oh, very. I actually think it's my preferred language to express emotions. Every emotion that I have inside could go into music, and when I play music on stage, it's my way of expressing every emotion that I have.
My name is Viktor Kidson, and I'm here in Sydney for Paradigm with Tobias Shu, also known as Cold Blue. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Hi, Victor. Good to see you.
Good to see you
Shall
too.
I hold this when I speak?
No, that's fine. I'll hold it.
Okay.
You want to do that again?
No.
Okay. Good to finally meet you. I've listened to your music for a long time, and today we finally got to meet.
And I have watched for I have watched your interviews for a long time. I'm a big fan, actually. I don't know when you started, but maybe 4 or 5 years ago already.
Yeah, something like that.
And I think about 3 years ago, there was a time when I watched almost every interview you did, and it was a big inspiration for me, because I think when you see people who can do what you want to do, like the DJs you interviewed, seeing that they made it and they talk about how they made it, and you find out it's no rocket science, it's just following your passion. That inspired me, and I think that helped me to get me where I am now. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. So how does it feel to be sitting here today?
Exciting, really exciting. And I don't know what to expect. You never know what questions Viktor Kidson has prepared for you. Yeah.
We will see how it goes. You're playing Sydney tonight.
Right.
How do you feel?
Feeling good. A little bit tired from jet lag, time zone changing. Long flight yesterday, 22 hours. But all good, all prepared.
We're gonna start actually right away with the questions, and we're just a couple of months into 2019. There's already talks about a Cold Blue artist album.
All right, is there?
I've heard about it on a couple of places. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really exciting project for me, because I am a musician who has always listened to albums in my childhood, lots of rock bands, different electronic music albums. And I think for me it's a milestone kind of to have an own album, but I never felt ready for it. One, as a musician, and two, in my in my surrounding, in my the support that I have from a team around me who can help me to put together such a big project and to promote it in the right way. But now, with Music First, Subculture, and all these people, it feels like the right moment to do this. And yeah, I'm excited for it.
How is the album looking so far?
It's pretty much done, to be honest. I haven't talked to anyone about it, really. Of course, my team, but from the outside, no one knows, really. And I haven't played much of the music yet, but I think it is done, and I have half a year to fine-tune and maybe switch a couple of tracks, but sounds good to me so far.
Is there a concept for the whole album?
Yeah, there is. I don't want to say much yet, but
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Your musical journey started very early on. How did it start for you?
I don't remember. I think it started before I started to remember things. Maybe before I was 2 years old. The earliest point I remember is that I started to drum on everything. Let's say I went to the kitchen, put some pots together, and yeah, it sounds very cliche, cheesy, but I think that's how it was. And maybe at the age of 5 or 6, I got a little plastic drum set to Christmas, and we always had instruments in the house. My mother played the piano and the guitar, and I was surrounded by music all my life, I would say. So it was very natural, and I had this energy inside of me that I want to do music. And I always did music. I had a keyboard and recorded my own little techno songs.
Even early on as well.
Yeah, really early on, at the age of 8 or 9 probably. And I didn't think about it. I guess. I just did it. And I listened to stuff on the radio and I tried to imitate it. And
Was drumming your favorite instrument as you were growing up?
yeah, always. I don't play any other instrument than the drums. So
And then you actually, a little bit later on, you became the drummer in the band Sugar from Soul.
yeah, right. I played in several bands, but Sugar from Soul was the most serious one. We definitely had ambitions. We played together for 10 years, played shows all over Europe. It was really, really cool, and I missed those days a little bit, but at the end we had to move on, everyone in his own way, and now I'm here, which is very cool too.
Which is very, very interesting, because you went from being a drummer to becoming a producer of music, of electronic music. How was that journey for you?
It was always both. I started producing music, as I said, on the keyboard probably, but when it got serious with the music software, I was maybe 15, 16 years old, and at that time I didn't even have bands to play in because I grew up on the countryside and there were not really guitar players that I knew, so we couldn't do anything. And yeah, music production was my second choice back in the days, probably because I would have loved to make music with other people together. But then slowly I found out that I really love deciding on my own how I want the music to be, and I love to be in control of every element in the music, and trance music turned out to be the one.
Yeah, how do you remember like the first time you heard a trance track, or when you got into it as a listener?
In the 90s there was a lot of trance on the radio and in the TV, I think. I'm not quite sure if it's the 90s or early 2000s, but I still remember when I heard Adagio for Strings Ferry Corsten remix on the TV. I think it was Viva or MTV in Germany. The beautiful video with the tree. I don't know if you saw it.
I've seen it as well, but later.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think I got goosebumps and was really focused. I got sucked into this music world in this one track. And then there was, I think, Kai Tracid and all these people, Darude, Sandstorm, very typical. That was on the TV back in the days, and it inspired me. The melodies, the energy in trance.
What was it like to going from playing on an instrument to producing like more electronically? Because how did you look at electronic music back then?
There's Will Atkinson.
Oh, there is.
Always funny.
You were saved by Will.
I'm saved by Will.
Yeah, for the question, like how you looked at electronic music.
Will ruined my life. I know that there was a time when I thought electronic music was no real music, because real music has to be made by instruments and people working on stage. But I think the music itself convinced me at some point that it is music, because I just felt in love with trance, with the melodies, with the atmosphere, the harmonies, and somehow there's something in trance which you cannot do with real musicians. I'm sorry to say that to any real musician, don't mean it offending, but the way of perfection you can put into a production is way bigger than live music on stage. And I love both. I still go to rock concerts and love my time there, but the production in trance music, I think I really enjoy the perfection and the 100% I want to reach, even if it takes years sometimes for a track.
How do you produce? Where do you start when you sit down and produce a new track like that?
I drink some water and then I start with the bass drum. No, joking. Can be anything. melody, some sample I found somewhere, maybe some sample that I recorded. Recently, a friend of mine was in Cambodia, I don't know the English name, and they went to some temple and some monk speaking came through the speakers. And he just sent me a video of the whole thing to show me the vibe. And that monk inspired me, and I ripped it and did.
Oh, you sampled it into a track.
I sampled it, and the track is nowhere near an idea yet. But
is it an album track, maybe?
No. The album is done. Okay. So it can start at something like this. Maybe it's melody I got when I wake up in the morning. Very often in the bathroom, some good melodies.
Oh, really?
Came to life. Yeah.
So this might be a bit of a tricky question, but what is it like to sit and produce music, and then, because you do that on your own, like in your own head, right? And then you release it and you see how people emotionally connect to it, or you play it out loud and you see how people react to it. What is that feeling like?
Sometimes very satisfying because it works out exactly like you imagined, and sometimes it's a bit disappointing because I think people sometimes have to get to know the track until they really love it, and sometimes it takes 10 listens if you put a lot of details in it, which people only discover after a certain time of listenings. So yeah, sometimes it's very happy moments, sometimes it's disappointing, or sometimes it gives me new ideas because I see some guy rocking and then at some point he's confused and stops, and I think, yeah, actually he's right. I would be the same if I heard the track for the first time. So it's a very good source for me to understand the track even more on a different level. Maybe I try to listen it to the first time again from the view of the
listeners, or of the
yeah.
I understand. Because in the beginning you actually never had any plans on becoming a DJ. Right?
Yeah, so this is a new addition to my way of producing, that I have this new view nowadays as a DJ when I see the reactions, and I think it helps me a lot to get closer to those 100%.
I heard that Dennis Shepard was a big part of you actually becoming a DJ. Tell me a little bit about that story.
Where did you hear that? Interesting. Yeah, he was the one who took me to a show for the first time as a backstage guest. Of course, I went to shows before, but he played Mysteryland in Holland. I think that was 2009 or 2010. And it was my first time to go backstage and see all the bus. And I think I was even on stage for a minute, and I enjoyed it a lot. And I thought, maybe you can do that too with your own music. And maybe it would be a nice addition to your life to play music and not only produce it.
Do you remember your first gig after that?
Yeah, I think so. There's a German radio show called Melomania. Don't know if you heard about it. It's by Pedro Del Mar and
yeah, I've heard it. Yeah.
I don't know if it still exists. I think it does. I'm not sure. And they had shows around the Stuttgart area in Germany. And my first show was on the boat, actually, on the River Rhine, going back and forth. And I opened back in the days. It was very exciting, but...
Were you nervous?
I was very nervous, yeah.
Do you still get nervous now?
It depends. Most of the times not, but I enjoy being nervous, actually, because it shows me that I still have passion and that it's important what I do. If you're nervous, you can realize you really want to be good at what you're doing there, or or there's something important for you in this moment when you're nervous. So I try to enjoy being nervous, because very often I'm not nervous anymore because it's routine and I'm quite confident. I know what I want to play. If the crowd looks good, then it's just joy and looking forward to play. So sometimes being nervous is nice again.
how emotional is music to you?
Oh, very. I actually think it's my preferred language to express emotions. Um, so every emotion that I have inside could go into music, and when I play music on stage, it's my way of expressing every emotion that I have. So can be anything from pure joy, euphoria, sadness, anger, energy, going forward. It's everything at once and packed into a 1 hour set very often. So it's really intense. And afterwards, I feel quite exhausted because I let everything out at once.
How are you feeling now for the Sydney gig? Do you know what you want to play, or does that come up when you're up on stage?
I don't know yet. I think I will play my new single on repeat all the time.
For 1 hour?
Yeah, it's called And Madness Remains. And
Yeah, tell me about that track name, though,
um,
as you brought it up now. And it's a very interesting track name. I've actually never seen anything, because it's 3 dots first, right? And then And Madness Remains.
um, yeah, it's a little bit related to the madness we have on the planet right now. And I think everyone has some madness in his personal life. We doesn't have to look across borders or switch on the TV to see it. We can just go out on the street, maybe look into faces from people walking by, being stressed or being sad, not happy with whatever they face in their life at the moment. Um, yeah, and the dots, they maybe should imply that we cannot do much about it. It will remain the madness. Can only try to make the very best for our own life and the people around us. Maybe try to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. Yeah, and the track has some dark energy. I don't know if you heard it, if you listen to it.
How do
That's
you,
kind of the idea behind it.
how do you control your madness, or how do you make sure that you don't have any madness?
Oh, I think madness is quite important also as a part of life. So maybe embrace it and try to channel the energy into something good, into something positive. I try to find out what the needs are behind any negative emotions, because I believe that whenever you feel bad in any way, angry, sad, afraid, I think there's a need behind it. And if you find out what it is, you can actually almost always find a good way to meet your need, to find what you need and to give it to yourself, hopefully even without needing anyone else. That's how I try it most of the times, but it needs a lot of awareness, I think, and it's not easy. Especially now with all the touring and the crazy lifestyle that I have at the moment.
Yeah, you just actually stole my question, because I was going to go into balance and how the touring life affected you, and if you had any surprises about yourself in that and how you balance it out.
Yeah, I'm surprised and overwhelmed at the same time. I'm surprised that I can take it quite okay. I mean, it could be worse. I'm still healthy. I still feel in balance, kind of, despite all the time zone changes. Sleep schedule gets F punct up, F dot up. Punkt means dot in German. I just try to sleep as much as possible, drink a lot of water, eat healthy, not get sucked into any crazy things. It's very important to learn to say no, because many people want a lot of things of you, whatever that is. Maybe just spend more time going to an after party. And it's important that I know how to say no to find my balance and get what I need, which is sleep, staying healthy. Yeah, and mentally, it's also crazy with the shows. Like I said, the emotion in 1 hour can be so crazy that maybe I need a whole day afterwards to get back into normality from this on the show to back to.
Yeah, how do you feel afterwards? Because usually you're alone on an airplane going somewhere else, right? Or in a hotel room after this energetic release.
Yeah, I found out that it's easier if there are other people around you that know you and that I know. For example, when we are on tour with the whole team with Music First, if there's a Subculture show somewhere, and it's like the whole family together, and after the show we sit down, have a drink, relax. Even in the next morning we spend time going to airports. This is way easier because you are surrounded by friends, and you all together have to find that balance again. You can do that by talking, by reliving the show, sharing your experiences. But when you are alone, maybe it helps to call a friend, or even just think about your memories, try to relive it in your mind, and not try to. I try to not distract me from those feelings. I try to feel them and embrace them, like I said earlier.
You mentioned before that you stay healthy and you drink a lot of water. You and I have two things in common. We drink a lot of, well, three, but we don't drink alcohol, actually. You don't either, right? And
I always tell people I don't drink alcohol.
But is there vodka in the bottle?
It's easier to say I don't drink alcohol. People respect that more than when you say I want to drink only one drink, and then I stop.
That's true.
Because I drink one drink every now and then with friends, at a wedding, when I feel this little buzz, I want to have a good moment now, and I want to enjoy that also with alcohol. So I try to be very aware of what alcohol does to me in that moment, and I enjoy it very much. But that's maybe 4 times a year. It's I almost drink no alcohol. And that's the truth to everyone. I said I don't drink alcohol. Now you know it.
But it's not easy to actually say no either, because people always try to, come on, just drink a little bit, right? I at least I feel that.
As I said, for me it's easier to say I don't drink, and I found out that people respect it. But maybe it's different when people don't know you, and one of the first things they hear about you is I don't drink alcohol. Then they respect it more than people who know you and want to have a good time with you.
Let's see if this works then. Like, I don't eat meat, and you don't eat that much meat either, do you?
Right. Yeah.
That is correct.
That's correct. Yeah.
What's the story behind that, or how do you look at that?
I found out that it's healthier for me to not eat that much meat, and I try to eat meat once a week, because I think that's even healthier for me than eating no meat at all. I've tried different ways, and this seems to be the most healthy way for me to eat a little bit of meat every now and then, maybe to get the vitamins in there. But I found out in many different aspects. For example, my skin gets clearer if I don't eat meat. I feel more concentrated, more focused. But I know it's very individual, so there's no recommendation in this now.
I was just curious about how you look at it, and I like the view that you have on alcohol as well. Yeah. To just say no, and then you decide whenever you want to do it, a little bit or however you do it. I think that's good.
Yeah. So you don't drink at all?
I don't drink at all. I stopped when I was like 23.
Wow.
Because I never liked the taste of beer or wine. I used to drink stronger stuff just because everyone else was drinking. And then I woke up one day and I didn't really know why I was drinking, so I just stopped. I got a lot of comments for the past 2-3 years afterwards. Why aren't you drinking? Just drink a little bit. But I've always said no. I do a trip with my best friends once a year. We've been to Vegas and Warsaw and Budapest, and then I end up drinking that time. So once a year, I usually drink a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was similar for me. I don't like the taste of beer, don't like the taste of wine. And I always got bad headaches in the next day. So it wasn't worth it for me. The pros are not big enough at the cons, as not as big as the cons. So yeah,
That makes sense as well.
why should you do it? And even I think you can have a good time without alcohol too. You just have to learn how to relax and feel good.
Speaking of water, I hear there was water involved the first time you met Neil Scarborough from Music First in Dublin 2016. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that was funny. I think our very first meeting, 5 minutes in, I don't know what the topic was about, but he got a little bit excited, and boom, his water went over the whole place, including my clothes. Yeah, and Neil thought, "Oh, there goes the deal. Damn it." That was funny. Yeah. I really like this guy. He's emotional. He has passion for what he's doing, and in that really short moment, it showed that he's passionate. And
What was that like to be approached by Music First and Subculture like that? How did you feel before that?
really proud. To be honest, I didn't know too much about them. I only know they were big. They had all the DJs that I like, and it was really exciting. But at the same time, I didn't really trust that a big agency could work in the way that I need support for my music. I had other experiences before where agencies tried to tell me how to produce music, to tell me how to change my style, do certain things to get more popular, and I don't believe in that. And when Music First approached me, Neil said to me, well, it was actually Neil, he told me, just keep doing what you do and we'll do the rest. You don't have to change anything. And it was difficult for me to believe that in the beginning, but then when I met him, I found out he was serious and he actually meant it that way. And still, until today, they let me do what I do, and it worked out very well.
Something that I think is you doing what you do was the subculture mix CD that you did. That was mind-blowingly full of your own material. How did that come about?
Yeah, when they asked me to do the CD, my question was, how much of my own music can I include? And they said, as much as you want. So I started to find other tracks from other people, and at the same time started to produce more own material for it, and somehow there was a full CD of material quicker than I thought. And they loved the idea. I loved the idea because it's something like an album, what I always wanted to do. And it was like a little exercise for my real debut album this year. Yeah, I know that some people made the comment that it's a compilation and it shouldn't be about your own music. And but I feel more like an artist who wants to show his own music rather than a DJ who is good at collecting tracks from different people and combine them to a cool story. I enjoy that too, but I decided to take the opportunity and do what I enjoy most, and it worked out.
It turned out to be an incredible mix.
Thank you very much.
How did everything change for you after you joined Music First? Or your music didn't change, but what changed, or how do you feel after you joined?
Even the music changed because I felt even more purposeful when I create music, because I knew there would be the next show in 2 weeks where I can play this new track I'm working on. So that was a huge boost for motivation, creativity. It made me more relaxed when I produce. because I just know everything's gonna be fine. Just you can keep doing what you do, as Neil said, and it will work out. And then the touring schedule became crazier and crazier, so that changed my whole life. The whole balance in my life changed, and I had to fine tune the balance. And I love it, and at the same time, sometimes I would love to have a little bit more normality, more daily routines, waking up at the same time every morning, going out, meeting friends in my hometown. But I try to do that as much as I can, and maybe it's even cooler this way, because when I have the time at home, I use it even more focused, more.
You make the most out of it.
Yeah, I'm more aware of every moment that I have, be it at home or on tour. For example, now in Australia, I know I have a week here, and I can use it somehow, and I can think about how do I want to use this 1 week. And that would be different if I had a whole year at home and I don't have to worry about what do you want to do with this year.
How easy or how hard is it to stay this inspired when it comes to producing, for example?
Actually, that was something I always worried about before I made music my full-time job. And actually, it's the easiest thing for me from everything, because especially with touring these days, there's a limited amount of time where I can produce, and my inspiration is bigger than this limit of time. So whenever I get home into the studio, I feel like exploding of ideas. And also there are a lot of different ways to start a production if you are not inspired. I found out ways how to kickstart the inspiration even if it's not there. So this is not a problem for me, thankfully.
How do you do that? How do you kickstart inspiration?
Again, that can be anything. Just playing around with samples, just playing around with notes. I found out that at some point inspiration will kick in. And maybe sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay too. But more often it does. And then before you know, you're full of creativity again, and you're into the flow, and the track is almost done after half a day.
What do you do if inspiration doesn't kick in at that moment?
I just stop, go out, do something else. It happens maybe a day, a week or so. And also nowadays I just feel when I'm done with creativity. For example, if I'm in the studio for 4 days, I know at some point I let everything out and there's nothing more to give. So I have to recharge, get some input from somewhere else, take a day off, and then it will go back.
Like, looking at what you do with the music production, with the traveling, with the DJing, how do you balance everything out? Or how do you keep balance?
Yeah, I think it's the most difficult part of everything. And like I said earlier, it's maybe the key is to stay aware, to feel your needs in every moment. If it's sleep, if it's company by people, by friends, or if it's
talking to people or communicating.
Yeah, or the opposite. What's the word for it?
Taking it in or processing it, or
no, having your own time, going back to the hotel room and have silence, no conversation, no company. So it's the balance between both, and I'm rather introvert, so I need a lot of time on my own, and at the same time I need company as a nutrition in life. So feeling what you need at what time is very essential, I think, to balance it out and to stay healthy mentally.
Speaking about Neil again. He told me that the first time you played in Ibiza, he was there, right?
Yeah.
And then 3 days later, he met you on the dance floor at Captured or something like that.
What? Who said that?
Neil actually told me about that story. Yeah, but you try to take in the countries. Like you're staying a week in Australia, and I know that you spent a couple of weeks in Argentina as well, right?
Yeah. I don't know when that was. I think 2 years ago, I stayed for 2 weeks in Argentina and Uruguay. It depends. To be honest, most of the time I don't have any space inside left to explore a new country, because meeting all the people, feeling all these emotions on a set, when I play a show, it fills me up and I'm done for the next week. So going sightseeing, going to meet new people wouldn't work for me. I would just explode at some point. So what I need is go back, relax, get home as quick as possible, if possible. But sometimes just the touring schedule makes sense to stay a week in Australia. For example, this week I will stay because I have a show Kuala Lumpur next week on a Saturday on the way home, which is quite handy. And also traveling to Australia takes you a whole day. The flight yesterday was 22 hours. So going back home after 3 days would be more exhausting than staying for a week, relax, and then go back. The question was...
I'm not sure if there was a question. It was just I was just curious on.
You talked about Ibiza.
Oh yeah. So what happened the first time you played in Ibiza?
That was one of the very few times where I decided I want to stay and I don't want to go home, because the magic of Ibiza catched me, I think. Caught me. Catched me?
Caught you.
Caught me.
You were captured.
I was captured by the vibes of Captured Festival. So I canceled my flight home, booked a hotel for 3 or 4 more days, and enjoy the company of many, many great people. Some people from Germany I knew, then I met new people there. The Music First people were there for, I think, the same time as I ended up being there. Yeah, and Neil was very surprised. And sometimes it's funny to surprise people in that way, because they know me as the guy who is always in control and tries to stay healthy and not go crazy partying, and I enjoy partying, so I did it. I enjoyed Paul van Dyk's set at Shine very much, and then Stoneface and Terminal played an incredible set afterwards, and I still remember that. And also I started as a clubber when I discovered the music, and when I thought I don't want to become a DJ, I always enjoyed going to shows and just live the music by dancing and listening to it, see people enjoying it. So it was cool to go back to the other side again.
When you started going out to clubs, did you have DJ dreams that you wanted to be up there, or were you still in the producer mind?
Yeah. I never had the dream being up there, but I always had the dream that my music gets played. So my goal was to create music that those guys want to play. And that worked out at some point, thankfully. And yeah, then at some point, as I said earlier, I found out that it would be a nice addition to the production side. I think it completes it in a way, to give it to people on my own instead of rely on other DJs who played.
Right before you left to Australia, what were you working on musically in your studio?
Let me think. Some fine-tuning on tracks.
For the album? Or?
Yeah, the album, and I think only the album, because I want to test some of the tracks, obviously, on my shows now, to get them to the point where they are 100% to me. So before every show, I usually would work on the fine-tuning. And there's Neelix walking by.
Yeah, Neelix is walking by outside the hotel.
Yeah, it's a really famous place here. somehow.
So you were fine tuning the album.
One of the tracks of the album, or two of the tracks that I play tonight and on the other shows too. Yeah. I think, yeah, and that's the part why DJing completes the whole process. When I know that I will be able to play them to people in 2 days, I feel even more energized and motivated to work on those little details, and it turns out to be very efficient this way. And maybe I'm way faster finishing a track when I know that I have a show coming up, rather than just being at home all the time and there's no deadline.
Tell me about your passions outside music. What are your other passions?
Nature, sports, meeting people, thinking about life, philosophy, psychology. I think a big passion of mine is to understand how everything works in life, how we work as human beings. I'm quite passionate about that. And also just going out, live in nature, hiking, doing some indoor climbing, that kind of stuff.
What can we the album is a huge thing. I'm super excited for it. I think people are going to be excited for it as well. What can we expect more from Cold Blue this year?
What do you expect?
I don't know. Like I cannot stop thinking about the album, so I want to know what else is happening.
There's some more stuff happening. So I try to make the album a bonus that people can listen to if they want to listen to a longer piece of music of mine. But I don't try to put every focus on that and lose track on the normal routine of having singles and playing shows. And so I try to have both, and there are more singles coming up, maybe some remixes. I made a remix for Jon van Dijnhoven, a German fellow guy. That's going to be out maybe in a month, depending on when this interview is going online. What else? I don't know. We will see.
Cool. My name is Viktor Kidson. I'm in Sydney with Tobias Shu. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Victor. It was a pleasure, and keep doing what you do.
Thank you so much. Same goes for you, and I cannot wait to hear the album. Thank you.